Call this meeting of the Moberly City Council to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Hance, if you please call the roll.
Lucas?
Here.
Kimmons? McEwen?
Here.
Graff? Here. Skubic?
Here. Thank you. You all have before you the agenda for tonight's meeting. Are there any additions or corrections for the agenda? Hearing none, do we have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Tonight's agenda has been approved. Also in your packets, you should have had the minutes for the February 3rd, 2025 City Council meeting. Is there any corrections or changes to these minutes? Hearing none, is there a motion for the approval of the minutes?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The minutes stand approved as written. Recognition of visitors, Mr. Bogowski.
No visitors this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. If there's anyone in the audience that wishes to address the council, please come up to the clerk, grab a green card, fill out your name and address, and we will recognize you later in the meeting. You'll have 4 minutes to address the council at that time. Number 2 on tonight's agenda, a request to hold Mother's Day 5K Run for Her Life on May 11th, 2025 to raise funds for families fighting for cancer.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is a request from Mother's Day Run for Her Life. Lori Turk is the contact person. This is a 5K to raise money for cancer. It is a event that has been held before, and this was discussed at the last work session and recommended to move forward for adoption at this meeting.
Very good. Any questions or discussion from council on the request? Do we have a motion for the approval of the request?
So moved.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The request has been granted. Tonight we do also have a consent agenda, which includes items 3 and 4. These items are considered routine, will be adopted with a single vote. Does any council member wish to remove any item for separate consideration? Hearing none, do we have a motion for the reading of tonight's small consent agenda?
So moved.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? First and only reading, please.
Bill number R1780, a resolution authorizing the city manager of the city of Moberly, Missouri to execute a fireworks display agreement with J&M Displays Incorporated for 2025. Bill number R1781, a resolution approving a written consent to assignment between the city of Moberly, County Bank, and Mid-Mo Aviation, LLC.
Thank you, Ms. Hance. Any additional discussion or questions from council? Hearing none, do we have a motion for the approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carries and the consent agenda is approved. Ordinances and resolutions. Number 5, a resolution.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have a resolution accepting and approving a contract with Bartlett and West, Inc. for professional engineering services related to a downtown parking study. Ask that it be read once for consideration.
Thank you. We have a motion for the reading of the resolution. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? First reading, please.
A resolution accepting and approving a contract with Bartlett and West Incorporated for professional engineering services related to a downtown parking study.
Thank you. Any additional questions from council or further discussion? Hearing none, do we have a motion for the approval of the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The resolution has been adopted. Number 6, a resolution.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution appropriating money out of the treasury of the city of Moberly, Missouri to pay expenses between January 30th and February 12th in the amount of $445,962.91. And I ask that it be read once for consideration.
Thank you. We have a motion for the reading of the resolution. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? First and only reading, please.
A resolution appropriating money out of the Treasury of the City of Moberly, Missouri to pay expenses due between January 30th, 2025 and February 12th, 2025 in the amount of $445,962.91.
Thank you. I hereby certify that there is sufficient money standing to the credit of the City of Moberly, Missouri, unappropriated in the funds identified in this resolution to meet the requirements of this resolution. Allison Boyd. Do we have a motion for the approval of the resolution?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution has been approved. Department head monthly reports. As each month, we ask the department heads to give us a little synopsis of what's happening in their department and some of the things they've got going on to help keep the council informed. This is one of those meetings where we have those reports. Is there any questions from the council to any of the department heads? No? Do you have one?
I have one for Tom. Tom, is there anything that we can do to help your people when they do inspections or when we require responses from people who, homes are a mess or going to be torn down or whatever? It just seems like we hear that all the time. Your people out there doing this, and it seems like they're not getting the backup, and I don't know where that's not coming from.
Really the best tool we have is abatement, and it's like, it's kind of one of those things. It has to be like if it's gutters falling off or roof on the house or things like that, we're not obviously going to go in and start making those repairs. If it's debris in the yard or things like that, we can work on those through our abatement process in warmer weather, but in the past we used to write summonses or things like that, but we just don't really,
When you do an abatement, do we then attach the property for the cost of?
yes, we those are ones we've done on larger situations. I really don't have a dedicated crew, so we usually have to wait till I have staff available to do that, and to go out and line that up. Sometimes it takes dump trucks and trailers, and it's a pretty good effort. I have to pull staff away from other projects to do that work. So, but most of the time it's usually a few $1,000 job, and it gets tied back to the properties.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kimmons. Tom, I also had one for you, and I know I've asked about it several times, but on the wayfinding signage, when can we expect, I know you've hit some hurdles with that, with some contractual problems there. When can we expect to maybe start seeing some results? My first council meeting 3 years ago was when we started talking about this. And so I'm just kind of curious on when we can maybe start to see some signs going in the ground.
It's really going to be depending on what they get back with me on that. I mean, everything's in place. The prices are there. We agreed on the type of signs, what the cost is, and it's just a matter of will their ownership allow them to contract with that third party through them, where it's a subcontractor of our contract versus us contracting with them directly. And I've asked them again for an update on that, and they said they're pending. So.
Okay. So any estimate on when we could get an answer?
I hope, in the next 30 days we'd have an answer, but they're ready to, they want to go and they want to move forward. It's just,
Right.
I don't feel comfortable that how the selection was made. They interviewed the company, they put out for bids, they got prices and they negotiated their prices, but it really doesn't follow our purchasing requirements for us to contract with a company directly. So.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Anybody else have any questions for any department heads?
Mayor, I do.
Yes, sir.
Can I just get a little bit of background on this temporary water service issue that was run into? Just kind of educate myself on it.
So temporary water, that's not really, it's kind of a blend of departments. It isn't anymore. We split that off. So really it's more utilities. And Allison, do you want to, you want to talk about it?
Better background on it than I do at this point, but So we've been meeting and kind of trying to solidify a process on this. In the past, the water office has just kind of tried to track who was coming in to get temporary water, and that temporary water was really just them trying to get their occupancy. Excuse me. So we've tried to streamline that process. We're working on a new process to make that a little easier because it's just really hard to track, and it's hard to have motivation to track that and for property owners to tell us.
Is it turned off after 30 days or something if they get temporary, or how many days are they allowed
I
to
think
have?
it's been 30 days. Is that what we've 30 or 60? They would request extensions, basically, depending on what work they were doing. So that's just hard for the water office to track.
So the system that we had in place or have in place, nothing has changed with that as far as tracking it? There's not anything new there that would make that easier?
We've been meeting and discussing it to try
Gotcha.
to make
Okay.
that process easier. And I think we've come on a solution that we think will work, but it's something that I'm still discussing with the water office to make sure that we get something solid in place.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Anybody else have any questions for any of the department heads? Okay, hearing none. Anything else to come before the council? Any public comments? Anybody want to address the council? This may go down as the shortest meeting in history. Okay, hearing no one. Anybody from the council got anything they want to discuss? Dragging it out here, boys. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to a work session followed by a closed session to discuss the status of real estate and negotiated contracts.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and seconded. Roll call, please.
Lucas,
Yes.
Kimmons,
Yes.
McEwen,
Yes.
Graff, Skubic.
Yes.
Right. We are adjourned from normal council session. Broke the record. Okay, moving on to work session. Number one, a request from Nikki Sonker to host the annual Unfinished Pieces 5K on April 19th, 2025.
This is a request from Unfinished Pieces to have their annual 5K. This is a repeat event from the past. To my knowledge, this route is exactly the same, and Troy didn't have any issues with it. Troy is at a conference this week, so couldn't be with us. But
Okay. Yeah, that's always been a pretty popular event, I believe, if I remember correctly. Any questions from council? Any objection to moving this one forward to the next council meeting? Okay, we will move that one forward. Number two, a resolution authorizing closing of certain streets and parking lots, hanging a banner, and allowing public consumption of alcohol in support of the Chamber of Commerce 2025 Junction Vintage Vendor Market Event. Chief.
So this is what looks like since 2019 they've been having this. They definitely pared it down for this year. There's no basketball, and they're going to hold it for one day. The area is almost identical in the past, except they switched what's going to remain open. Clark Street's going to remain open for emergency services to go up and down as opposed to William Street. It just made more sense for that purpose. And they're asking for basically the same stuff on the same start times. So it's all in the letter that Ms. Dolick provided to us, and I basically just took last year's and cut out what didn't apply and redid it. So we don't have any objections to it at all.
William Street was where we got the pushback from some business owners. Am I correct on that?
It was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Are we going to find them here at the next meeting doing the same thing?
No, because they are giving half of William Street remains open. They're just going to close William Street at where it enters into the municipal auditorium lot, so the rest of the street stays open. My understanding is it wasn't the objection to the event, it was the objection to the basketball being there.
Right.
So,
Okay. Very good.
Will the streets be closed the night before?
mhm.
Okay.
They requested it to be closed starting the night before, like at 5, so that they could begin setup. September 19th, beginning at 5 p.m. in some areas. See the attached request letter. They've also requested a lifting of the public consumption ordinance which they've done in the past too. We've had no objections and no issues with that either, other than the one the company was selling and didn't have the liquor license to do so. So they didn't come back. So that was a couple years ago. Other than that, there's been no issues from our perspective as far as any enforcement activities or anything like that. There hasn't been any problems at all.
Okay. Any additional questions for Chief? Any objections to moving that forward to the next council meeting? Okay, we will move that one forward. Number 3, a request from Moberly Area Council of the Arts for a street closure on September 26th through the 27th, 2025 for the 3rd annual Phobia Film Festival at the 4th Street Theater.
So this is, as you said, an annual event. This year's a little different. They're not going to have a tent. They are going to request the street be closed. According to the letter, they're going to have food trucks providing that services for this year as opposed to a tent in the street. And they want the street closed, so there's viewings in both the theater and the library, so there's traffic back and forth across the street. Again, it doesn't cause any problem for emergency services to get in and out. We got access on both sides.
Very good. Any questions or objections? Any objection to moving this one forward? Okay, we will move that one forward. Number 4, exception to bid procedures for police department patrol vehicles.
So this is a bit unique, especially in this portion of the year. Usually we deal with bid procedures for new vehicles once the new budget is passed, usually in August, September. Some years it's been before. But I got a communication from Moberly Motors on the 7th of February letting us know that Dodge is discounting police Durango police utility vehicles by $6,500 a unit, which is a substantial cost savings. The catch is we have to place orders by June 30th. I talked to Mr. Miller, and he says June 30th is probably going to be too late. They're going to reach the production quota, and you wouldn't be available. He's advised us we need to place orders by May. The earlier in May, the better, so as soon as possible. But it is going to require an exception to the bid procedures because we're going to go with a sole source provider, which our ordinance allows us to do. We've done this before when we had ordering where we were on a time cycle to place orders. In this case, we are anticipating not be able to get charges anymore, so we're going to be switching out those sedans to SUVs, either Durangos or Ford Explorers, or basically all of our options are. And this provides an opportunity to save us some serious money as far as switching those vehicles out. That money can be used to replace the cages, replace the consoles, and replace some of the stuff that will not transfer from the Chargers into the new Durangos. So that's why we've come forward with this and requested a council approve a bid exception so that we can go ahead and provide notification to Moberly Motors. They will order them and place the order, but we will not expect delivery until the next budget year. He actually put some cost in right now. I put it in that they didn't have it. This is going to be for the V8s, which is the better of the two engine. The V6s we've seen some problems out of. They're probably going to run about 42.5 is what they're going to run, which is cheaper than what we've been buying them for. So it's definitely worth making the opportunity to get the vehicles, and we're going to need the vehicles anyway.
And this was a purchase that was going to happen next budget cycle anyway.
This is
correct?
already scheduled. We're scheduled for 2 vehicles in our rotation, our CIP, as part of our normal vehicle maintenance program. We get the old out, we get the new in. We were scheduled for 2 anyway. We just, instead of waiting until August or September to place our order, we have an opportunity to save some money when we place an order on vehicles that we was going to order anyway.
Makes perfect sense. It looks like the recommendation from the city managers for approval. So
Yeah, it's a pretty significant savings for us. And, when we've bid this out in the past, Moberly Motors is frequently our only bidder anyways, so.
very good.
Since 17, they've been the only bidder.
Right.
So
Any questions for Chief regarding any objections to moving this one forward to the next council meeting? Okay, we will move this one forward. Thank you, Chief.
thank you.
Okay, number 5, consideration of appointment to the Board of Adjustment to complete the term for Craig Sant that retired in November of 2023.
This is the applicant we have, Dale Hughes. He's from, he's had experience on planning and zoning commission in other communities, so he comes in with some experience on that. He's really looking for P&Z, but he's happy to serve on Board of Adjustment.
Okay. And he lives here in town? Okay. Guess I don't know him. Okay. Any objections to moving this individual forward to the next council meeting? Okay, we will go ahead and we will move him forward. Gotta get to the top of the page here. Okay. Number 6, an ordinance repealing ordinance number 9797 and terminating cooperative agreements with Studio Spillman LLC for infill development.
Properties had, lesser deeds, and so therefore had to go through, quiet title, it's about $1,500 per property. So, we've all changed their minds on moving forward with these.
I couldn't hardly hear what you said. I'm sorry. That kicked on. I couldn't hardly hear you.
These have they don't have titles, or they have collector's deeds, so therefore to get clean titles, you have to go through a quiet title process, which runs about $1,500 a property, and timing and everything, they've decided not to move forward with the development on these. So.
Okay. Any question for Tom on this one? Hearing none, any objection to moving this one forward to the next council meeting? Okay, we will move that one forward. Last one, number 7. Financial assistance agreement between Mo DNR and Moberly to reimburse funds for a water and sewer rate study completed in 2024.
So you
sir.
have a financial assistance agreement in front of you. This is to basically fund the rate study that was done last year by Burns and McDonald, which I think you all have been apprised of. The application process was a little bit backwards since we're applying through a multi-purpose fund, which is a fund that we really just learned about a few months ago. We met with DNR here at City Hall, and we look forward to possibly tapping into this in the future as well. But for this purpose, it's to refund what expenditures on the rate study that was done last year.
Okay. Any questions? Nope. Hearing none, any objections to moving this one forward to the next council meeting? Okay. That was an easy one. Thank you, sir. I think that is all that we have for this evening for the work session. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a motion, do we have a second? Second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned from work session. Thank you, everyone, for coming.